Let me just ask you plainly, have you ever lied about your race?
No, because never have I been asked, "Are you human or not human?" Right? So
those words
race,
like
race in a as a construct again as a fluid understanding. So I would say no.
do you feel you've been deceptive at all?
I really feel like there have been moments of some level of creative nonfiction where I, in order to again survive or protect people that I love, I have kind of had to explain or justify some of the timeline and logistics of my life in a way that made sense to others. So I've tried to find words that have been able to communicate my reality to people that I'm talking to, understanding what their perceptions of the definition of race, culture, and ethnicity might be.
But just as a human being, you know when someone asks you, are you black? Are you African American? You know exactly what they're asking you. And for you to say yes, is that an honest answer, knowing what their question is?
When somebody asks, "Are you black?" which I actually don't get asked very often, until recently, since a few days ago, then I say, "Yeah, I do. You know, I am black, and this is why." You know, and hopefully I can explain a little bit more as far as that.
Do you understand why many people would think, given your parents and your heritage, that is at best a misleading answer?
I can understand that, but again, up to this point, I know who raised me. I haven't had a DNA test. There's been no biological proof that Larry and Ruth Ann are my biological parents. Right?
You doubt whether those Ruth Ann and Larry who say they are your parents, you doubt whether they're your parents?
I'm just saying I can't prove that.
There's a birth certificate that has your name on it and their names on it. Why would you doubt something so fundamental?
I'm not necessarily saying that I can prove they're not, but I don't know that I can actually prove they are. I mean, the birth certificate is issued a month and a half after I'm born. It certainly, there were no medical witnesses to my birth. It was in the woods.
Who do you think your parents might be?
Well, I don't know. You know, like I said, I just don't feel like I can necessarily say now with the full scrutiny of, can you prove that you are Larry Ruth Ann's biological child? That actually has never been proven.
It's one thing to embrace the questions as an academic matter.
Right.
It's another thing to just actually be honest and transparent about who you are. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where people are having trouble with you, Rachel. I think they feel that you have been, for whatever reason, and perhaps wonderful reasons, acting like you're something that you are not.
Right. Well, I definitely am not white. Nothing about being white describes who I am. So, you know, what's the word for it? You know, I mean, the closest thing that I can come to is if you're black or white, I'm black. I'm more black than I am white. So, on a level of values, lived experience currently, I mean, just in this moment, that's the answer. That's the accurate answer from my truth. But I do ask, I mean, I hope that the dialogue continues to push against what is race, what is ethnicity.
Let me go back to something you just said a few moments ago. You just said, I'm not white. I know I'm not white.
Right.
In 2002, you filed a lawsuit against Howard University alleging discrimination on the basis of you being white in a predominantly black university. How do you explain those two things?
You know, I was 7 months pregnant, right before my second year of grad school, my last year of grad school started, and you know, just checking to see if everything's intact because the chairmanship had changed, and you know, he's like, "What scholarship? You don't have a scholarship. You have white relatives. You can, you know." Who can probably afford to pay for this, and you can come back when you're back in shape and have a 1-year-old. And other people need opportunities. Definitely, that was an injustice. It's one of the few times that I actually have stood up for myself.
In essence, that's a lawsuit that says, I'm white and I'm being treated poorly because of it.
The discrimination taking place in that moment is the individuals terminating the scholarship perceiving me to be white.
But you get the larger point. I mean, setting aside the lawsuit, it was a long time ago.
Right.
But when people hear that, they think, here's somebody who's telling people she's black, but when it suits her, she's going to say, I'm white and I've been the victim of discrimination. And so they see this thread where you're using race to your benefit when it suits you, to either get a job at a place like the NAACP or to file a lawsuit against Howard University. I mean, that's probably the toughest accusation against you right now.
Yeah, I get that, except for the fact that I was never asked my race with the NAACP position, and it actually never, it wasn't my idea to run for president of the NAACP.
Do you think they assumed that you were black?
I think some people did, and I don't know, I can't speak for them, but that was never part of that conversation. When it comes to the Howard University incident, it became part of the conversation when those words were spoken. You have white relatives, therefore we're going to give other people opportunities for the scholarship. But it wasn't like I claimed to be black to go to Howard and get that scholarship in the first place. I mean, I was awarded a scholarship based on my art portfolio, and my application, there was no box to check for race. I mean, Howard exists to promote black values, and certainly does not necessarily have a race category as a HBCU.
But if people have been assuming all these years that you are black, that's okay with you.
There's been a kind of transition, and this has been talked about in terms of appearance and everything that has taken place somewhat in waves and yet progressively.
Yeah, let me ask you about that, because the whole world has now seen pictures of you as a little girl, as a young woman. You look very different than you look right now. Have you changed your physical appearance?
Yeah, well, definitely. I've experimented with my hair since living in Mississippi, really, and doing hair on the porch, braiding, and that kind of was the beginning of hair transformation for me. And as far as other I guess, when race boils down, it's like hair, skin color, and eye shape, right? I mean, those are the three identifiers physically of race as a construct. And so, yeah, I definitely, prefer to not stay out of the sun, and I will,
Have you changed your skin color?
I don't know necessarily if my skin color has changed. Depends on the season, right? So I have not taken any melanin shots or any of the black like me,
Have you done anything?
Certainly I'll, maybe some days I might, if I have spray on, bronzer or whatever to get glow, but other days I don't. And so, even some of the current shots, if you really look even at that recent KXLY interview where it's like, so are you African American? And that day I'm just looking pretty pale that day. So depends on my kind of morning prep routine and how much time I have to, so.
I mean, let me just bottom line ask the question. Have you taken steps to make your appearance appear more like that of an African American or black person?
I don't know that was necessarily a conscious, I am going to now physically transform myself at this juncture. It kind of was more something that just happens as I had more choices, especially after my divorce, and was able to just kind of be me and explore myself and what I like and how I feel beautiful.
A lot of people have made comparisons to the transgender community and how you can feel one way inside and your physical body may not match that.
Right.
Do you consider this to be something like that?
I finally had a chance to read Caitlyn Jenner's piece, in the magazine, and really just, and I cried because I resonated with some of the themes of isolation, of being misunderstood, especially in this very high pressure, high risk, low trust, pressured, stressed even borderline attacked experience in my life right now.
Do you feel like a little bit under siege by all of this?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, definitely. But I've really tried to kind of check that a bit and try to be present for my kids, my sister, and the movement, and really see what's best for that right now and make strategic decisions for that. But I am going to need to do a little regrouping and be able to really process all the implications now as I move forward.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here, and then click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.